Car Obsession is proudly supported by Carly and Draggy. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes.
Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another point of view review. This time I've got the brand new Suzuki S Cross. So before I take you out for a spin, I'll give you a quick look around the car. So this is the range topping Ultra version, which has a starting price of £29,799 and comes with a lot as standard. So LED lights, 17-inch alloys, keyless entry, tinted rear windows, panoramic roof, front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera, 360-degree camera, leather upholstery, heated front seats, dual zone climate control, adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning, 7 airbags, rear cross traffic alerts, blind spot monitoring, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, 9-inch touchscreen, navigation, Bluetooth, DAB radio. I've got a choice of driving modes as well, and I've got a panoramic sunroof. So as you can tell, it comes with a lot as standard. I've also got automatic lights and wipers. So let me quickly show you the boot, which isn't the largest in its class. Oh, the car is locked, bear with me. There we go. So it offers 430 litres, which is by no means small, but it is smaller compared to cars such as the Nissan Qashqai, the Hyundai Tucson and the Peugeot 3008 or 3008, however you want to pronounce it. If you go for the base model of this car, which is the Motion, that has a starting price of £24,999 and that still comes with a lot as standard. So that very long list I said earlier, the majority of that is available with the Motion, which is quite impressive. Anyway, is that unlocked? No, right, there we go, and step inside like so. So Motion and Ultra are the only trim levels you can have for this car, making it easier for someone buying this car because you're not bamboozled with a whole long list of different trim levels, which gets a little bit confusing. Now, speaking of simplicity, there's only one engine available for this car at present, which is a 1.4 litre turbocharged petrol. Incidentally, it is the same engine as used in the Suzuki Swift Sport. It offers 129 horsepower along with 235 Newton meters of torque. That would normally be fed to a 6-speed, mated to a 6-speed manual, but as an option, which is £1,350, I have the 6-speed automatic. The Ultra as standard comes with Allgrip all-wheel drive, whereas the base level model, so the base model Motion, has front-wheel drive. Right, start up the engine like so, and we'll be on our way. Let's just turn the climate control down. So there we go. It is a bit warm in the UK. Well, I say that's 16 degrees compared to previous temperatures. Oh, there we go. That's the 360-degree monitor and the reversing camera. Yeah, compared to recent weather in the UK, 16 degrees is a bit cold actually. Right, okay, away we go. Now, for my regular viewers, you may be wondering where I am, because I'm not near Goodwood like I usually am. I'm actually in my old filming location, which is Ranmore Common, which is within Dorking. The reason why I'm here is because I'm visiting family in the area, and it made more sense to come here than to go all the way back home and go to Goodwood. But for many of you watching, I'm sure you don't give a toss about that, so let's move things on. Now, to begin with, the engine is responsive. This has got a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which of course makes the car more efficient. Oh, let's go, right, it makes the car more efficient, and it helps to give the engine a bit more of a boost at lower revs. So this car is quite responsive. Right, we're good to go. The engine does get a bit boomy, a bit coarse in its sound when you get towards the rev limiter, but to be fair, because the power comes in quite early on, for example, the torque is available as low as 2,000 RPM, you don't really need to take it all the way to the red line. That is a bit of a waste, in my opinion. The 6-speed automatic, it works pretty well. It's fairly responsive, fairly smooth. Of course, it isn't as efficient as, let's say, a Volkswagen DSG, but you'd have to pay more money for that. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. Oh, national speed limit. So a little bit of a delay from the 6-speed automatic. Oh, now that's one downside with Ram More Common. It's full of cyclists, so it may disrupt the flow of this video, but that's out of my control in all honesty. Yes, anyway, the 6-speed automatic, you can either leave it to its own devices or you can pop it into M mode for manual, obviously, and then take control using the rather oddly shaped paddles on the steering wheel. Credit where credit's due, the changes are quite quick using the paddles, and it is a responsive gearbox, but it's just, I would personally rather have the manual. I think it would just give better involvement in a car like this. Suzukis, in my opinion, are normally quite fun to drive. They've normally got a bit of character about them. But even though this has got the same engine as the Swift Sport, I've not really found this car much fun to drive. And this engine was also used in the Plethora S, which I reviewed way back when. And both that car and the Swift Sport, they're fun cars, but I don't quite know why or how, but that fun hasn't really translated into the latest S Cross. Now, for many of you, I imagine you're not too bothered whether or not it's fun, because this is a no-nonsense, value-for-money, practical family SUV. Does it need to be fun? No, it doesn't, but Suzuki has built a reputation of building fun, cheap and cheerful cars, and this isn't quite as fun. Let's talk about the ride. The ride is pretty good. It's on the softer side, which means better comfort, but the handling isn't overly crisp. So if you want a kind of medium-sized SUV that is more keen in the corners, a bit sharper in the corners, you will want to look elsewhere. But it does okay in the corners. I've got no major complaints. The body roll is quite pronounced though. You will feel the car leaning through the corners. Now, going back to the ride, it is on the softer side, but you will hear the suspension working away, particularly when you hit large divots or potholes or imperfections in the road, which, let's face it, in the UK is very easy to do. Now, whilst I'm kind of on the topic of comfort, let's talk about refinement. Refinement isn't overly good in the S Cross. You get a sense that this car's got less sound deadening, third time lucky, compared to other cars in this class. So, oh, something, I'm not quite sure what that noise was. What was I going to say? Yes, road noise and wind noise is pronounced, so there is something worth bearing in mind. When you're driving on the motorway, if you've got passengers in the car, you will need to raise your voice a little bit to communicate with them, and or if you're by yourself and you want to listen to your favourite tunes, again, you will need to kind of crank up the stereo a bit more in order to hear the music. It's not a deafening car by any means, but it's not the most quiet either. Now, to continue my theme of refinement, as I mentioned earlier, the engine is a bit boomy, a bit coarse when you head towards the rev limiter, but when you just get to a cruising speed and let the engine just fade away into the background, you will find that it is quiet, very quiet indeed. Now, with this having a 48-volt mild hybrid system, you do have regenerative braking, so when you're braking, it will feed energy back into the battery. But in case you're wondering, no, you can't drive this car on EV alone. This is purely here just to help enhance the petrol engine in regards to efficiency. The cabin, as you can see, isn't the most luxurious, isn't the most plush, but don't forget, this is a cheaper car, and to be fair, it has everything you're likely to need. It hasn't got a wireless phone charging pad, but have I missed that feature over the course of this week? No, I haven't. It would be nice to have it, don't get me wrong, but in fairness, I don't know if it's just my phone, but I do find the majority of cars don't really work with my S22 Ultra anyway when it comes to wireless phone charging. So yeah, that's not a biggie for me. Slow down for the pedestrians. Going back to the cabin, it is a bit plain Jane, a little bit boring. The interior materials aren't as premium as other manufacturers, other cars in this class, but like I say, you have to expect compromises. This is a cheaper car, yet it's still loaded with kit. So yeah, Suzuki do need to think of areas where they can save money, and the interior is one of them. But to Suzuki's credit, they have tried. You've got some nice glossy black detailing, some gunmetal grey inserts. You've got the leather seats, which come as standard, a kind of faux leather strip on the dash, and the lovely panoramic sunroof, which is above my head. That's nice because it helps to let daylight in, and it makes the inside feel a bit more airy, although even with the blind closed, I wouldn't say it feels claustrophobic in here. The steering is on the light side, which will make it easier to manoeuvre in and around town, which is a good thing. But I do also find the steering is quite vague. You don't really get a great sense of what the front wheels are doing, which, again, for the majority of you, I'm sure you don't really mind, because you're not buying this as a driving machine. You're buying this as a good value for money, practical family SUV, which the S Cross excels in. But yeah, if you are looking for something which is bit more keen to drive, then this, like as I said earlier, this probably won't be the car for you. You do have a choice of driving modes though, so you've got this little dial just down here. Let me just get on the straight and narrow. So you've got a dial there, so twist it left for snow, which I don't need, clearly. Push the middle button for auto, or twist the dial to the right to give you sport mode, and already I can feel the car is more responsive and more willing to get a move on. You do also have a lock function, which will help you for off-roading, although to be fair, I doubt many of you will be buying this car to do any kind of proper off-roading or green laning, but it is there in case you do need it. If you happen to live in an area like this and you're driving in the winter, then I imagine the Allgrip system will be more desirable for you. But for the majority of you, I reckon the front-wheel drive version will be absolutely sufficient. Fuel economy, that's a good topic. Let's speak about that. So as you might be able to see on my little readout in front of me, I'm currently doing 44.9 mpg. Over the course of this week, I've averaged around 45, which is pretty good when you bear in mind for this engine, with this transmission and this drivetrain, you're looking at around 46 mpg on a combined run, so to get around 45 isn't bad going. Now this setup would emit 139 grams per kilometre, but if you want a greener S Cross, just avoid that twig, you can get the front wheel drive version with a manual gearbox, and that will offer up to 52.3 mpg with CO2 emissions as low as 120 grams per kilometre. Oh, good turning circle. Make sure I don't take out that cyclist. I will mention the performance, although I'm sure many of you aren't really that interested, but this will hit 62 miles per hour in 10.2 seconds, and the top speed, in case you're really wondering, is 121 miles per hour. If you go for the manual version, you will get a faster 0 to 62, which I believe from memory is 9.5 seconds. It's been a long time since I've driven down these roads, forgotten how tight it can be in certain places. Oh, a little bit jiggly down here. But to be fair, the road is not exactly as smooth as silk. Oh, speaking of silk, in case you're really interested, the exterior colour is silky silver metallic. There we go. What a name that is. Silky silver. Regarding visibility, yeah, that's pretty good. The A-pillars are quite thick, but I haven't come to a point where they've obstructed my vision, so I've got no problem there. Door mirrors are of a good size, and you do get blind spot monitoring as standard, even on the base model, I believe, so that is very, very good. The rear window is maybe a little bit shallow, but rear visibility is absolutely fine, as you may be able to see. So you've got no problems there. Over the shoulder, I've had no issues there. I've driven this on the motorway, and yeah, at no point have I had any difficulties with visibility. Let's pop that back into auto. Right. I've lived with this car for almost a week now, so have there been any negatives with it? Well, no car's perfect. The boot is quite small, and then I travelled up to Surrey from Worthing to see family, and yeah, a bigger boot would have been helpful, because yeah, we were bringing up bedding and so forth, and the lack of boot space was a little bit of an issue. Other negatives, I'm not a massive fan of the 6-speed automatic. It's not a bad transmission per se, but I would much rather have a manual. I just think it'd make this car a bit more fun. I would want the tailgate to open a bit higher, because I'm a tall person. I've come close to whacking my head on it, but that's a very pernickety personal complaint, which many of you probably won't have. I can't think of many things wrong with this car. Yeah, the interior is on the cheap side, but it's a cheaper car, so it would be rude and a bit unfair to moan about such things, in all honesty. Right, and there we go, guys. We are pretty much at the end of our drive. Got to be careful, the entrance to this car park is quite beaten up. Oh! Blimey. Treacherous. Right. And we are done. I do hope you have enjoyed this video or found it useful. If you do have any questions about this car or my short experience with it, then please do drop a question in the comment section below, and I will answer you as quickly as I can and to the best of my ability. But yes, a big thank you to Suzuki Cars UK for loaning me this car for the week, and of course a big thank you for you watching. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.